this video, you're going to learn everything about aerial roots, and I'm going to answer 7 different questions about aerial roots, like if you can cut them, can you train them to go back inside the media and not just project crazily outside the pot. And I'm going to answer your 7 questions on aerial roots. The first question most people have is, can you cut them? Because, they're sticking outside the pot. They brush up on everything. Phalaenopsis have these. Cattleyas obviously have these. I mean, look at this one. It's just, from this rhizome, the roots just want to grow outside. They want to explore the area. So can you cut these? Can you get rid of them? Well, the answer is yes, you can, but why would you? They're perfectly healthy. I mean, look at this root. It's firm to the touch. It has a green tip to it. It's everything you ever wanted in a root. So why are you going to cut that? Orchids in nature, these aerial roots are projected to grasp hold of a tree. They're going to attach to a tree because they don't live in soil. So these aerial roots are actually projections of real roots that are going to attach to the tree, but not only do they serve to attach, but they also will absorb nutrients, because since they're epiphytes, which means they grab onto a tree, these orchid roots are going to catch the nutrients that are floating along in the air, so they maximize the amount of nutrients that they're getting through the air currents. They also will maximize the water intake, because the water droplets that are also floating in the air currents, the aerial roots will catch them and will grasp them. And the third reason is because aerial roots, different than household plant roots, they photosynthesize. So when they're on the outside of the pot, they will grab that extra air because they have the chlorophyll in them to transform that light into energy. So if you're cutting the aerial roots off your plant, off your orchid, you're just cutting the source of nutrition, the source of absorption of water and nutrients, and the source of transforming light into energy. Why would you want to do that? I mean, when you love an orchid, it's just like kind of loving a person. You take the good with the bad. You love all the plant. You don't just love the roots that are inside the pot. I mean, aren't these little cute things? I mean, they're just adorable, just sticking outside of the pot like that. But you also have to love the aerial roots, because that's part of the plant. It just makes it so much more unique. It makes it so much more distinct. So where does this word aerial root come from? It's not the area, like the roots will increase the surface area, although they do, but it's AER in the sense of aerate. Like when you have a cake batter and you mix it really vigorously to aerate, to put air inside of it. Also from exercise, aerobic exercise to anaerobic exercise. Aerobic has air. The cells still get a provision of oxygen while you're exercising, compared to anaerobic exercise, and that's where you get the lactic acid and it hurts the day afterwards. But anyway, so the aerial roots comes from providing air to these orchids, that your orchid will breathe better because air is around these roots. Question number 3. Why does this orchid grow these aerial roots? Well, first, the orchid has a deep desire to attach to a tree, to hang on firmly, because remember, most orchids are from a tropical climate. They have monsoons, they have heavy rainfalls. It's not just a little sprinkle here and there, it's gonna downpour. So these orchids really need to attach to this tree. So the more roots that they have that are sitting around just to secure themselves, to make sure they have a safe place and that rain is not going to throw them off the tree, the better they are. That's the first reason. The second reason is because the more roots they have, of course, the more nutrition they're going to get. It's Obviously, you want a healthy orchid, focus on healthy roots. That's the main part. What do aerial roots look like? Now, this is a good question because a lot of people think, oh, what is this growing out of the stem of my orchid? Is it a root? Is it a flower spike? What is this? Roots will always be a silvery color, and on the tip, they'll be green. Now, let me get that closer so you can see the green tip. That's what's going to project from your orchid. Now, this one has a root coming from the rhizome. It's also green. And you notice the root tip is smooth. It's round. There's nothing like bumpy or triangular about it. If you have a flower spike that's coming out of your orchid, it's going to be pointed. It's going to have little horns on it. It's going to have little triangles. And if you put water on it, it's not going to change color. If I miss this, the color first is going to turn to a darker gray, then it's going to turn green. Flower spikes don't change color. So that's how you know if it's a spike or if it's a root. And in time, your roots will either grow out and down, or they'll grow out and out. They don't grow up. Flower spikes will follow the source of light. And as our sun is always up, our grow lights are always on top, the flower spike will follow up. So if you have a flower spike, just give it time. If you're not sure, give it time because it will follow the light. It will start to turn up to the light. That's why it's important not to have a light below, or you keep turning the source of light, because your root's going to go all over the place. Your flower spike is going to go all over the place. Do orchids like to be root bound? Yes, they do. Remember that sense of security, that sense of I'm on this tree and I'm not going anywhere. That's why they also hate to be repotted. So if you keep repotting your orchid, oh, they didn't like this medium, I'm going to change it. I changed it last month, I'm going to change it this month. Don't do that. Just keep your orchid inside the potting media that you have so it can get that sense of security. The roots will attach to the side of the pot, and it won't grow unless it's really firmly attached in there. It's going to focus on roots first, then it's going to focus on the flower spike, the leaves, and everything else. If it doesn't have a strong root system, it probably won't flower. Stay there, cat. Don't come close. So what's going to happen is that the roots are going to grow to the outside of your orchid pot, and it's going to attach. When I mean the outside, it's from the middle of the pot point of view. So it's going to grow out, and then the roots are going to attach to the pot. When it's firmly attached to the pot, then it's going to start to grow. Next question. Will the orchid roots dry out faster? Yes, they will. The orchid roots, aerial roots, are the first to dry out on your orchid. They're the ones who are going to show you if your relative humidity is adequate or not. In their natural habitat, most orchids like a relative humidity, and that's just the quantity of water that's circulating in the environment, in the air around them, that is higher than 60%. Now, inside our homes, because of the central air units and the central heating units, air conditioners, central heating units, both of these will just absorb the humidity out of the air to either heat it or cool it. So the relative humidity of most homes are around 27 to 33%. Now that's a drastic change from 60%, which most orchids like. So you'll either need a humidifier or you'll need a humidity tray, which won't raise it that much, but it is better than nothing. Or you'll need to put a layer of sphagnum moss. For example, on this orchid, I don't have a top layer of sphagnum moss, but you can see this little root here is venturing out. And so what I could do is I could put sphagnum moss on top of this part right here and just mist it every morning. That not enough to drench the sphagnum, but just enough to keep that top layer humid so the roots won't dry up, and they're the first that are going to show you that your relative humidity inside your growing environment is not adequate, because you'll get those dry, crunchy aerial roots that you'll have to cut off. Another question that comes up all the time, how do you repot? Let's say I have this pot here, and I'm not going to repot this right now because, believe it or not, this is only 6 months old. This was not here 6 months ago. The potting media is fresh, it's new. I won't be repotting this for probably, no, I love you, go away. So I won't be repotting this orchid for a good year or probably 2, depending on how much is going to grow outside the pot, because the potting media is fresh. So let's say I want to repot this orchid inside the pot. I want to take this root, and next time I repot it, I want to stick it down inside the potting media. First, you're going to kill the root. This root has adapted to growing in the air. It has adapted to that lesser humid environment. It has adapted to being outside the pot. But if you put it back inside the potting media first, it's going to suffer difference in light change. It's going to suffer difference in humidity. It's going to suffer difference in the way the water is around it, because when you water inside the potting media, the orchid bark will retain more water. So what's it gonna do? It's gonna die. So yeah, if you want to repot this inside the potting media next time you repot, it's gonna die. There's no other way around it. It will die. What you can do is get these little projections of roots that are just starting right here and put those in, train those to go down. If you really hate aerial roots, train them to go down inside the pot. When they're young and tender, they will adapt better. If they haven't reached the potting media yet, you can train them to go down into the potting media, and they will adapt a lot better to that, and they won't die off. So do it with young roots that haven't adapted quite yet to their environment. They're still learning the situation. They're learning how to handle life. Now then you can point them down to the potting media and it's perfectly fine. Is there a way to hinder aerial roots? Yes, there is. And I am totally against it, because I think aerial roots are part of the orchid. They're part of the natural charm to it. They're what makes it unique. It's like, what is this growing outside the pot? It's like this unruly thing that, doesn't like to be confined to what society tells it to do. That is just, me. So what you can do, remember when I said that the roots are looking for stability. They want to go to the outside of the pot, and there they'll stay. So if you have an orchid that you don't want to have a lot of aerial roots, pot it in a pot that's quite bigger than it should be. Now, your orchid will take a hit. Your orchid will become insecure in the sense that it won't work on leaves, it won't work on a flower spike, it won't develop as much as it wants to, because it's still looking for the side of the pot. So it's growing out to the side of the pot and like, where's that pot? Where's that pot? And once it reaches the pot, which will take quite a bit longer, then it will start working on leaves and flower spikes and aerial roots. So that's a way to do it. It will make your orchid suffer. It will make your orchid become unhealthier. I don't advise it. I don't do this. I don't. Keep repotting in a pot that's just a little bit bigger than the pots you have now, so it doesn't hurt that growth cycle. Orchids hate to be repotted. They just absolutely detest it. Just learn to love the aerial roots. It's part of the orchid. It's part of their natural charm. And once you get used to them, they're kind of cute. Not the way I wanted to start my video. Okay. So I won't be repotting this orchid for a good year. Stop. And I want to take this. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, just stay right there. Hide your feet. There. No, this is going to be disaster. You're going to knock my orchids off midnight. I love you. Go away. Get out. No, 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 no. Okay. Okay, from now on the cat stays, okay? Because I'm never going to get through this video if the cat doesn't leave. So, where was I? Humidity. To understand more about orchids, you can watch this video up here, which is about orchid anatomy. And if you want to learn about how orchids adapt in nature and came to be where they are today, look at this video down here that's going to point you to orchid adaptations so you can continue your learning. Happy cultivating!